All right, welcome back. And like SpongeBob said, the gang is all here today. So, and there's so much that we've got to get into. I think let's just start off strong right away with the draft, because that was like draft day game movie level shenanigans going on the past couple of days. Obviously, Shedeur being the main focus in rounds 1, 2, 3, and halfway through 4, which I had mixed feelings about, because like it was funny, like following like Shedeur's downfall, but at the same time, there was definitely a lot of players like Cam Ward got overlooked. I think even though he's the number 1 overall pick, like just because they didn't really talk about like him being a 0-star going into college, and then he built himself all the way up to be the number 1 pick.
Yeah, the story was still about Shedeur. Even when Cam Ward got picked, the story was still about Shedeur. And then it continued to be that story for multiple days, multiple rounds. It was crazy.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, honestly, for me, I don't think the draft went that bad. I think every pick was, I think, ideal for, like the thing is, like, there was so much talent outside of the quarterback position this year that I don't think any team in the first round could have run wrong with whoever they picked. Like 2 picks that kind of stood out to me in that first round that I was kind of shocked by. I mean, obviously you had the Browns, who could have had Hunter and Shedeur, but Jaguars trading up, that kind of shocked me. And then at 8 with McMillan going to the Panthers, that kind of shocked me a little bit, because they already have Xavier Legette, who's like kind of similar build, like tall and like a jump ball wide receiver. And I didn't think at 8 he would go there, and there was a lot of like other talent, but like 2 picks later, this was my other shot pick, like Colson Loveland over Tyler Warren. That kind of, I don't know, I kind of got a few questions about that, because I feel like having Tyler Warren would have been a lot better for Ben Johnson, someone who's so offensive minded.
Yeah,
and Tyler Warren, who we saw last year, like play multiple positions, play quarterback in the wildcat position, like
all the trick plays.
Yeah, like there was so much that they could do, and just picking Colson Loveland, who's still not a bad tight end, like obviously, but there's a lot more that I feel like Tyler Warren could bring to a team than Loveland can.
Yeah, I mean, one of the jokes that I saw online for Carolina getting McMillan was they need to get tall receivers so that way Bryce Young can see them over the offensive line.
Dude, no.
But yeah, no, the first round was like kind of crazy. I mean, obviously because Shedeur didn't get picked, but also like the Giants trading up for Jackson Dart, I thought was a very interesting move. I think they probably could have waited, because there was no one else I don't think that was going to pick up a quarterback.
Yeah.
Besides the Giants and like I guess the Browns. I thought it was kind of funny the Browns picked Dylan Gabriel before Shedeur. I thought that was pretty interesting.
2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs.
I didn't understand. Yeah. What are the Browns doing? Like, I don't know. You get Dylan Gabriel, and then you're like, you know what else? I mean, because listen, they were bad last year, so you would think, okay, we have a lot of holes, we have a lot of roster spots we need to fill to make our team better. So we're gonna draft Dylan Gabriel, who is either gonna be a backup or a starter, whatever, and then we're gonna draft Shedeur Sanders, who's either gonna be a backup or a starter. So that means you spent 2 draft picks on someone that's going to be a bench player. Either Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur will be a bench player. I don't even know. They signed Joe Flacco. Who knows?
Or both of them.
Yeah, so I just, what are they doing over there?
I have no idea. Because, I mean, you're going to have 2 like fresh quarterbacks. I guess they're going to develop, like, it's going to be very interesting to see them develop, because you've got Joe Flacco, who I think is not a bad quarterback to develop under, but then you've got Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, he's going to be out all next year, though.
He's like going to be out. So if he was still in, then I'd be like, why are they getting 2? But I mean, since he's out, it kind of makes sense for them to get 2, because then if they only get 1, like I think they just wanted to expand their quarterback room, because they ran into so many problems last year with Deshaun going out.
Yeah, they also have Kenny Pickett there too.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So it's like you want to fill up your quarterback room, but for what? I don't know. I really did like the Colts getting Tyler Warren, though. I agree with you. I think it was a mistake by the Bears to give up on that, because Tyler Warren is so good running the ball, catching the ball. You can put him at wide out. I mean, Colston Loveland is a really good possession wide receiver, or no, possession tight end. But I just felt like Warren was the consensus. I thought he was the consensus best tight end in this class, but clearly the Bears don't think so.
Yeah, I went to go see him at the Big Ten Championship, and he looked phenomenal. And even like throughout the playoffs, he was the number one go-to guy for Penn State. But yeah, like back to your guys' point about like Jackson Dart. Like I said before, like the draft even was getting close, that I really liked Jackson Dart, and that like I thought he was gonna be the best quarterback in the draft. Obviously you have Shedeur, you have Cam Ward, who are going to step into starter roles at some point this season. Obviously, Brian Dable said in like the first press conference that Jackson Dart's going to be the backup to Russell Wilson because he wants to get some like mentored. He wants him to like be mentored and like see how they go. But like overall, I really like the Giants draft. Like even though they haven't been as consistent as a team as like their fans have hoped, getting Abdul Carter, Cam Scadabo, and Jackson Dart all in one draft, I just feel like those three players, having them, I think those are great pickups. And even getting Scadabo in like the 4th or 5th round, wherever it was, I think it was really good timing for the Giants because I don't want to see Cam Scadabo become the next Saquon Barkley and get traded to an already like juggernauted team who carries their team to a Super Bowl. But I don't think the Giants are going to make that mistake twice. And I think having Cam Scadabo, who's a hard physical runner, I think it's going to be great for them to have.
Yeah, I agree. Cam Scadabo is definitely a great pickup for the Giants. I mean, especially like you said, after the loss of Saquon Barkley last year. Curtis Rourke going to the 49ers, I think that could be good as well. Just because, I mean, we saw Brock Purdy, like he was Mr. Irrelevant, last pick of the draft, and then he gets developed and becomes the starting quarterback. I think Brock Purdy, I feel like he's kind of injury prone a little bit, at least with his elbow.
Oh yeah.
But I think Curtis could develop pretty well down there and eventually like get his opportunity, which I mean the 49ers, like their coaching staff is great. Like they're normally pretty consistent. Last year I feel like was kind of a down year because like everyone on their roster was injured, it felt like.
Yeah.
But I think 49ers should be in a solid. I think they didn't do too bad in the draft, but I think Curtis Rourke might be like he might low-key be a steal for them, honestly, just because of like how aware he is like when he's inside of the pocket and everything. Like he's a very high IQ quarterback. Which
pocket
I think,
presence.
Yeah, pocket presence. Yeah. Like it fits well with the 49ers system that they have right now.
No, 100%. And he's a very anticipatory thrower, on time, like everything that Kyle Shanahan wants in a guy. That's probably why they went there. I think Quinn Ewers, he went
to the Dolphins
7th round. Will Howard went to the Steelers.
I feel like Will Howard to the Steelers is actually going to low-key be nasty work. I feel like he's like a perfect fit for the Steelers.
So what is the Steelers' plan in terms of like QBs? Are they going to start Will Howard from the 6th round? Who's their guy right now?
I think it's
Mason Rudolph, I think, or something like that.
I think it will be Will Howard, though. I mean, yeah. It could be Mason Rudolph for the first few weeks because Mike Tomlin's been like familiar with him and he's been on the team. But I think eventually Will Howard's going to kind of step in, like get his reps in like the pro. And I mean, also, too, they're going to wait and see what happens in preseason because obviously he'll play a lot there. And obviously it's not against starters you'll see on typical Sundays, but I think just seeing how he develops throughout offseason and playing in those preseason games, I think he'll kind of make his decision later towards them because we already know what Mason Rudolph can do. And the chances he kind of pulls like a Sam Darnold's type season, Will Howard will step in eventually. So I think we've seen what Mason Rudolph can do. I just think Will Howard being a national champion this past year and kind of stepping into those high pressure situations, I think he'll kind of make his way into the NFL a lot quicker than people think.
And speaking of the Steelers, actually, they also picked up Jack Sawyer as well,
which saw that.
Is really, really good for them. I mean, they already have a great defense. It's like, why not just add another great piece to that defense as well?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it is just Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson. I'm looking at it right now as the two QBs in the Steelers room. So I think Will Howard, like Ethan just said, will probably be starting like week 3 at least.
Yeah.
But I think going to your point, Joseph, about Quinn Ewers, I think the Dolphins was like the best place for him to land because he's known for his like throwing arm. Like, he's known for launching it down the field. And I don't know if Tyreek is still going to be on the Dolphins, but
they just said a report came out today that he is going to be on the Dolphins. You can go back to your point. But yeah,
I think that's a great system for him to be in, because he's going to have fast receivers that are going to be able to get down the field for him and get open, and he's just going to be able to launch that.
Yeah, if Tua gets hurt, I mean, and Tua's been very injury prone.
Yeah,
which is probably why they got Ewers as an insurance policy. Okay. Why do you guys think Shedeur fell so hard? What you think he went to those draft interviews and just absolutely said, "Nah, screw these guys. I'm better than all you guys. I don't even want to be here." Because I heard that he tanked interviews with certain teams.
I heard that too.
And then people started talking to each other and were like, "Yeah, he also acted like that, like an arrogant, son of a what." And then all of a sudden, it just fell apart. I mean, it's crazy to me though, because he did have the highest completion percentage in all of college football last year. I thought he was good. Like, I don't know if he was definitely not at a Heisman level or anything like that.
Or jersey retirement level.
Yeah, definitely not jersey retirement. But do you think, why do you guys think he fell so hard? Do you think it was the draft interviews and that was it, or you think there was more?
I think the cockiness really got to him, because I mean, if they really say the interviews, I think it's more of what he talks about himself, because they talk about like how you be like a team guy, how do you like present yourself, and I think like just for him, and like obviously everyone knows Dion and what he did in the NFL, like one of the best corners of all time, and then you bring in like Shedeur and obviously his brother Shiloh Sanders,
Buccaneer. Shiloh Sanders now.
But I think his cockiness really got to him. And I especially think getting his number retired for doing literally nothing, I guess, for a program, not going to the playoffs, not doing anything. I think
not winning a bowl game.
Yeah, that too. Like, I think that really got to his head, thinking that he's the real deal and that he thinks he'll go number one without a doubt. Or in the first round, I guess, if Cam Ward were to go number one. So I think because of that, I think his cockiness really brought him through, and that having everything he needs behind him, he thought he had everything, that he can just kind of go in without an attitude. But I also think too, not participating in the combine, I think that really is something big that you don't typically see. Like, obviously you have your own pro day with your team, but not participating in the combine and not showing yourself out in front of these other quarterbacks who you're supposed to be better than, I don't know. It doesn't feel right that he would go in the first round. And I wasn't surprised. I mean, maybe it wasn't all the way till the fourth round that I thought he would fall, but I honestly wasn't surprised he didn't go in the first.
It honestly felt like the Browns just said, "All right, bro, damn, we'll take you." No one else is. Also, Jalen Milroe going to the Seattle Seahawks. I wasn't shocked by it, but I was a little bit surprised. How they have Sam Darnold there and how Jalen Milroe's there now too. It's gonna be interesting.
That was it was an interesting pick for the Seahawks. But I going back to the thing with Shedeur and the draft and why I think he fell. I think it was definitely those things where he didn't show up to the combine, and also just the fact he botched interviews. And there's been more stuff coming out on that. On especially the Giants, Brian Daboll, he was talking about it. There's obviously the anonymous NFL assistant NFL assistant coach that put out a quote. I've seen clips online of just resurfacing that have happened where Shedeur blames teammates for losses and stuff like that. I saw old tweets resurface of Dion talking about how he would never he would never want to go to the Browns or whatever, how he only wants his sons to go to certain teams and stuff like that. And then just all of that stuff on top of not going to the combine just paints a horrible image. It's oh, this guy doesn't want to do these things to prove himself, and he thinks he's head and shoulders above everyone else and hasn't really proved it.
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to take him because, quarterback's the leader of the team. Yeah. There's different kinds of responsibilities that you have as the quarterback.
Yeah.
And if you're going to, act like a selfish leader, no one's going to want to be a part of your team.
Yeah.
No matter how good the team is, they're you're still going to perform not as good. And then you blame your teammates, and then it's downward spiral.
Yeah.
But
I thought it was weird that the Saints drafted that guy from Louisville, Tyler. I forget his house.
Tyler Show.
Show.
That guy. I was watching some of his tape, and man, I don't see it. Number one, what they're saying, and number two, he is old. He was teammates with Justin Herbert. So he has no, like, he's already reached his ceiling. It's not like he's going to come out and just sidearm it like Mahomes or something, and he's just going to be showing you totally different tape. He's like 24 years old. Oh my gosh, I didn't understand what the Saints were doing. And also, like, Jalen Milroe getting drafted before Shedeur too. Like, Milroe in that bowl game against Michigan couldn't complete a pass.
Yeah.
It just felt weird to see a lot of the quarterbacks that you kind of looked at and you were like, oh, they're not really known as throwers. And then all of a sudden, Shedeur, who was known as a thrower, dropped so low.
Yeah.
Well, you said Tyler's show is 24. He actually turns 26 on week 3.
Dude,
So if that
Even
kind of
worse.
helps any sort of case, yeah, he is
worse.
he's an old man. But I will say one quarterback pick I really like. I actually really like it. I think I really like Jalen Milroe going to Seattle. You brought it up earlier, Joseph, but I don't know. I just feel like Jalen Milroe is like that type of like he's got that like Seattle play in him. Like I don't know what it is. Like he's got something behind him that makes me think he would go to a team like Seattle. And obviously, like I think they're taking kind of some sort of protection because the weapons that Minnesota has nowhere near what Seattle has. So they don't know if Sam Darnold's going to fall into that like 1-year wonder type thing. And so I think having a backup that can run the ball as well as Jalen Milroe has been at Alabama, I think it was a really good pick. And to have him kind of just follow Sam Darnold, who obviously hasn't done great throughout his career except for his past year at Minnesota, I think the development that Sam Darnold can kind of provide for Milroe and kind of explain just how he got on track after like so many seasons of not doing much, I think that'll really help him, especially at what he did at Alabama and the kind of fall-off they had, because it's very similar to what Sam Darnold went through in the NFL just years on end versus weeks on end. So I think him being able to provide help to Milroe to kind of get him back on his feet after disappointing last season in college football, I think it'll really help. And I think his running ability, I think it'll bring a great spark to Seattle.
Yeah, I think at least him getting drafted over Shedeur for Seattle, I think was probably good for Seattle just because, I mean, like you said, like he's a dual threat. And I think he's probably the best dual threat quarterback that was in the draft class, even though he can't really throw it that well. I think he's definitely the best runner.
Oh, yeah.
I think that kind of at least gives him that edge, and it at least separates him from the other quarterbacks. Like most of the other quarterbacks that are in the draft, mostly known for passing, except Cam Ward is kind of funny because like sometimes you'll see him like in the pocket and he's just kind of like just stand, like he'll just stand
He runs
like flat-footed.
he runs when it's not counted. We'll say that. Like he'll run when it's not tracked. Like he won't run past the line of scrimmage, but he will. He is a very good runner in the pocket.
Dude,
Yeah.
Cam Ward, I think the Titans do have a good quarterback in him, but it really depends how they build up around him. You know, obviously the fit needs to be right. Obviously the receivers need to be right. See, the thing what the Panthers are doing with Bryce Young, they're basically saying, all right, this is it. We're giving you these tall receivers. You got McMillan, you got Leggett now. You gotta make something happen here. Because if you don't, we're done with you. That's basically what the Panthers are sending the message to Bryce Young as right now. And I think NFL teams need to do a better job when they do draft a Cam Ward or when they do draft a franchise cornerstone and giving them all the weapons possible. So that way you know as a GM, hey, I did everything I could. We know it just didn't work out. And
Yeah.
that's that.
I mean, not even only that, but like also just the line. Like you've got to also get good line pieces.
Yes.
And I mean, we saw, like we were saying earlier in the draft, so many lineman position on both the offense and defensive ends of the ball were getting picked up. And I think you were saying that like if Bryce Young doesn't perform the way he's supposed to, they move on. This is the perfect time to do that because you know who's going to be in the draft next year? Arch Manning.
Yeah.
That would be, if Bryce Young doesn't pan out, they can just tank and then they can just get the first pick and they can get Arch, which I think would be the move. And I mean, I think that's also part of the reason why a lot of teams were building up the lines because they want to make sure like if they end up drafting Arch, they're going to have the pieces there to protect him and then they can draft weapons if they like just to finish completing like the wide receiver and running back roles respectively.
I will say too, like another person that I think is also in that position is Anthony Richardson. I think the weapons he had these past couple years, I think they were pretty good. I mean,
I agree.
I like Michael Pittman, Jonathan Taylor, obviously. You have Alec Pierce and who's a deep ball threat, Josh Downs.
Yeah.
Now this is your year. They drafted an offensive tackle, a running back, a tight end, and now Riley Leonard, who was the national champion runner-ups. And obviously Leonard and Richardson, kind of similar play style in terms of running the ball. Yeah. Richardson has a bigger arm, which helps him the deep ball with his other receivers. But I think Riley Leonard, I mean, we saw his like poise like throughout the playoffs and what he's done throughout the year. Besides that loss week 2, but I think if Richardson doesn't like do what they're kind of supposed to do, especially in a very, I wouldn't say very easy, but not as competitive division as the AFC South is, with really kind of just the Texans, as we haven't seen much besides the Titans or the Jags, which I'll kind of get into after. But I think Riley Leonard may kind of step in there eventually and take the place of Anthony Richardson, because last year was Joe Flacco, who obviously very old guy, I mean veteran, but old, so they kind of needs a new replacement. So I think Riley Leonard was a really good pick, and it's going to be very interesting because a lot of the big names that we heard in the draft this year are in the AFC South, between Cam Ward, the 1 and 2 pick with Cam Ward and Travis Hunter. You have Tyler Warren here. Like it's a pretty loaded draft for the AFC South and the big names they got.
Yeah, and I mean, they're both Riley Leonard and Anthony Richardson are also going to have to compete against Indiana Jones for the starting quarterback position as well.
Danny Dimes.
Yeah, Danny Dimes. But yeah, that was just it was just crazy to watch all of this stuff pan out for the draft. It felt, at least like quarterback wise, it felt like everyone kind of went where they were supposed to go, I guess. You know what I mean?
Except Shedeur.
Dude, did you guys see the draft room in Cleveland when they did draft him? It was like everyone was clapping. Yeah, no one was smiling. Now, I did see, because I was like, oh, is that really what they reacted like? But apparently all their draft picks that they drafted, they showed that they had the same reaction. So like, it wasn't really like, they didn't really change anything for Shedeur.
They're like, finally, bro, I don't have to sit here for another 8 hours and wait.
Dude, it's also something about Shedeur reacting to him being drafted like on Twitch. Like,
yeah, that's nuts.
Like, I don't know, man.
That's another thing I mean. Like, bro, like the cockiness to like he's so different. Like, who live streams on Twitch their draft? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Chat. What are we gonna do, chat? I'm dropping 4th round here.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, it makes no sense. I honestly think he had to be humbled a little bit, right? Like, this is the type of experience that either makes or breaks a person in terms of like, you know, your profession. And I think he's cut from that Sanders cloth, you know, like hopefully he'll be able to take this on the nose and actually be like, all right, it's time to work. I'm not that good, but I'm going to prove everyone wrong. Like, that's the mentality he needs to have. He needs to have that Brady mentality, and Brady's trained with him a lot. So he just needs to have that mentality and just keep going. But I think he'll be fine. And the NFL has gotten stuff wrong before, like in terms of quarterbacks, like drafting that Louisville guy, 26-year-old. He reminds me of Ben DiNucci, like a third stringer that used to play for the Cowboys. Like, oh my God.
Honestly, that pick low-key feels like it was out of spite. I'm not even, just out of spite for Shedeur. They're like, you know what would be the funniest pick to make that's a quarterback but not Shedeur? We're going to pick this old guy.
They're playing in practical jokers. It's like, all right, go up there and say Tyler Schultz. Like,
to be fair, if the Browns didn't take him, I don't think any other team would have. Like, honestly, like everyone got the quarterback they needed.
Yeah.
Between the Seahawks, the Steelers, the Giants, and the Colts.
You don't think the Steelers would have picked Shedeur over Will Howard? Wow.
I did see that Tomlin wanted Shedeur. I did see that.
Did he say that somewhere?
I don't remember where he said it, but I do remember seeing it.
Clearly not, though. He had multiple opportunities. I feel like a lot of people were like, damn, we feel so bad for Shedeur. We feel so bad for you. And then it's like those are the same teams that also just would not take him.
Yeah, like I feel bad, but at the same time, I'm like, it's just so funny. Like, it's just so funny that, like, you know, his dad, like, it was kind of like his own doing. Like, he kind of did it to himself.
Yeah, he really thought he was like that. And I wonder what Dion thinks. Dion's got to be mad, right? Like, because he has like, NFL ties like to executives and all that. He definitely does. So he's got to be so mad.
I mean, they had Trump on Twitter like saying, "Yeah, like where's Shedeur?" Like that's how insane it was.
That is actually really crazy.
So
That's actually really crazy.
it's nuts.
The fact that like Trump was commenting on it too, I think is just so funny because he's just like
out of
he's
all
not
things
in
you're
that
paying
one. Yeah.
attention to, like you're paying attention to the 4th round of the NFL draft when you're the president of the United States. Like,
They're like,
come on, man.
They're like, sir, this is going to be really good PR.
Yeah.
It's like Impractical Joker saying, "All right, now tweet on Twitter about Shedeur falling." Skip Bayless is also crashing out on Twitter. I don't know if you guys like saw that either. Like Skip was going crazy.
Well,
he was typing in like all caps and everything. I'm like, dude, chill. Like it's the draft. Like, I mean, he's probably gonna get drafted, but like wherever he gets drafted, he's gonna be able to like prove himself.
Yeah.
Like, and I also saw some people saying it was racism too. I'm like,
Nah.
I don't think so. I'm like, he's like,
Dude,
Shedeur is like the least humble person that I've
Cam
ever
Ward went
seen
number
on
one.
TV.
What do you mean?
Yeah, Cam Ward
If
goes
it was
number one.
racist, you would have had Riley Leonard go number one. Like what?
Yeah, no, that makes
No.
I was like, people are just coming up with all kinds of excuses. I'm like, no, he just has an ego and is not humble and is not likable. Like,
I honestly think he went into those interviews. He was wearing his watch, and he was just like, I don't want to be here.
It's like perfect time.
Yeah, he starts rapping and like honestly, he had to do something crazy, right? Like, there's no way that these teams just looked at him and and then he's just saying whatever, and they're like, okay, yeah, that's our guy. Oh, jeez.
Oh my
He's
goodness.
a joke, bro. I'm telling you, bro. He's not gonna do anything in the NFL, or at least I hope he doesn't, because bro, he does not deserve it.
Dude,
no.
If he does do something, he'll let everyone know.
Oh, I
Oh
know.
my God.
That's the whole point. Like, I don't want to see it, bro.
We won't hear the end of it. Skip won't let us hear the end of it. Dion won't let us hear the end of it.
Dude,
Shiloh won't let us hear the end of it. No, like none of those guys will let us hear the end
Shiloh
of
was
it.
hilarious, though. He was like, he knew he wasn't going to get drafted. Like, you could kind of tell on his face that he knew he wasn't going to get drafted. He's like, dang, bro, if they're doing you like that, I wonder what they're going to do me.
Yeah, that was really funny.
I'm like, Shiloh, you're not getting drafted, bud. But he did sign with the Buccaneers, so good pickup for the Bucs, I guess. I guess we'll see what he does. Also, with the Colts, like, I love how they got Tyler Warren, but it's going to be super funny if Richardson does start and he just throws it 50 yards over Warren's head every single play. No,
like, you guys see that clip of the draft where Tyler Show like runs out of the pocket and throws it like 10 yards in front of the receivers. He's like running an in route.
Yes.
Like, this is the guy you took over Shedeur.
on the combine?
Yeah. I want to see if I can pull up the video.
Dude.
It was,
And he's 26.
Yeah.
You're 26 throwing against air and you're struggling. And they said he's better than Shedeur.
Right here. This is it. I'll show the camera too. This is it. This is literally Shedeur. This is the guy that got picked over Shedeur Sanders. Like, it's nuts.
Yeah. Also, look at the way he throws the ball.
Yeah, like what is
Like, you see his whole body moving out of the frame.
I could have done better than that. And I'm being serious. Like, I definitely could have done better than that. I don't know what.
The bottom line is, whether Shedeur succeeds or not, the NFL has gotten stuff wrong before. The NFL has gotten stuff right before. At the end of the day, it's going to be up to him how much he wants to prove everyone wrong and actually put in the work and not just like making music and chilling with his bros. And
Ever since Brady happened, like, anything can happen with that. Like, obviously it won't turn out as well as him, but like
Purdy made a Super Bowl. That's a lot of quarterbacks cannot say that in their lifetime.
yeah, and he was the Mr. Irrelevant pick. He was literally like he was
last
further down
pick.
than Brady was in the draft,
That
and he
is
made it
really
to a
crazy.
Super Bowl. So I mean, anything is possible. But yeah, no. Speaking of quarterbacks with egos, I think we should pivot to Nico Iamaleaveyourteam to UCLA.
Oh.
I mean, me and Ethan kind of talked a little bit about NIL and how like players are starting to kind of like they're getting overpaid and they're taking advantage.
Yeah, it's starting to get crazy.
It's starting to just get way too crazy. There's been so much stuff about that too, like about Nico's family like being pretty involved in the contract making. I don't know if you guys saw anything about that. But.
Yeah, I think what's happening is that these parents, let's look at it from Nico's perspective. All right, last year. He was an 18-year-old kid coming into Tennessee. All he knows is he plays ball, and he's pretty good at playing ball. And his parents, he looks up to his parents, obviously, and his dad, he makes a lot of decisions for him because, that's his dad. So what happens is that he goes to Tennessee. Nico doesn't really perform well last year. And you can kind of see okay, maybe the offense isn't really tailored to the point where he can spread the ball around as much as he wanted to. And all of a sudden, money becomes an issue with that as well because he wanted $4 million, and
it was 4.2 or something,
and he was getting $2 million. First of all, what are we talking about? You're gonna go to the NFL most likely if you stay at Tennessee and develop the next couple years. I just don't get. And now he goes to UCLA, and I think that he's only getting about $1 million or something like that.
Yeah.
But think about it. Now he's in California, where the state taxes is going to absolutely kill his $1 million. So he's taking a pay cut on top of a pay cut, and he could have just stayed at Tennessee for $2 million in an SEC program. Now he's going to the Big Ten. It was UCLA was one of the worst teams in the Big Ten last year. And it's who's in your ear telling you that was a good idea? Because if it was your dad, you got to grow up a little bit and look at him and be like, dude, we're not doing this. Not only am I losing money here, but the reputation on him is bad now. If he tries to go to the NFL, what do you think teams are going to say? This guy cocky, he's not a team player. That's what the reputation is on him now. He can turn that around, but I don't know who was in his ear. Bad decision, I think.
I will say too, if you're there's a difference between being a college football player and being good, yet you're not going to go to the NFL, versus being a college football player and being very good, and then you're definitely going to the NFL. And don't get me wrong, the amount of hate he gets, I think it's very deserved, but he is still a very good football player.
Oh yeah,
and he will go to the NFL. So I don't get why you're leaving a program that is well more recognized than UCLA, who one is debatably in a harder Power 4 conference than the SEC. Maybe I'm wrong. But again, still being on a worse team in a Power 4 conference where the Big Ten is still very strong with the teams that they have, us, obviously.
And
Oregon,
getting stronger.
And Oregon, Penn State. You still have Ohio State, Michigan, the top dogs here.
Yeah.
And then the SEC, where you had so many people leave there with quarterback wise, Jalen Milroe and Jackson Dart both just left there. I don't know why you would rather, because now looking back on it, you would have made more money going to Tennessee than you would have UCLA. And I think all of us, if we were in his shoes, we would have much rather played at a bigger, probably more fun school at Tennessee, where you'll be recognized more by NFL scouts than you would be at UCLA, where the program obviously is not that good and they're still developing. So I don't get that.
He better hopes he puts up numbers.
No, I mean I don't doubt that he won't. I think he will still, but if he doesn't perform as well, that will kill his draft stock. I will say that, unless he does insanely well at the combine, which you always can't rely on. But I still support him. He was one of my favorite quarterbacks in college football last year to watch, and I still like him. I just think what NIL has done, Ryan, we talked about it. It's just gotten to such a big point, and the line has been crossed exponentially at this point. I just think he would have made more money just staying at Tennessee than he would have at UCLA, and he's going to the NFL at some point. It's just I don't know why you would do that when you're going to make more than that in the NFL.
Yeah, and I mean, also if he didn't ask for that money, they could have easily if the issue really was about the offense, like his dad was saying, then he could have not asked for money, and Tennessee could have spent money on weapons or even an offensive just to revamp the offensive line to protect him, so
take
that way
that
he
$4
can
million and
perform.
divvy it up.
Yeah, but instead, he's asking for $4 million, and I think part of that is because Carson Beck goes to Miami and gets $4 million, even though he's not worth that much either. No. Definitely not worth that much. So I think from his point of view, he's probably oh well, Carson Beck's getting $4.1 million. I performed about the same or better than Carson Beck, so I should also I should get that much too. But Tennessee is not trying to just pay the quarterback. They're trying to build a championship team, and they were I mean, they were close to make it to they made it to the playoffs last year, so they have some sort of foundation. They just got to fix those missing pieces. But because Nico and his dad wanted more money, or his dad just wanted more money, or the agents or whoever wanted more money, it now is going to hurt both Tennessee and Nico because Nico's going to go to a bottom tier Big Ten conference. He'd probably be lucky to get 5 wins, if I'm being completely honest, because I don't know what UCLA's schedule's like next year, but it's not going to be an easy schedule. And now Tennessee is, after doing all the spring training, is now going to have to figure out who their guy is because there's not really going to be anyone in the portal. So both of them just kind of screwed each other over. And wait, are you going to, did you look up UCLA's schedule?
It's not even bad. Like honestly, like looking at it, they don't play any of the big teams in the Big Ten besides Penn State. Like they play No, they play Utah, UNLV, New Mexico. That's probably 2 wins at some point there. Northwestern, easy win. Penn State, that'll probably be a loss, but it's at home. Michigan State, win. California. Maryland, win. IU, probably a loss. Nebraska, probably win. Actually, no, they do play Ohio State. What am I saying? Ohio State, loss. Washington, USC. Like, that's 2 losses right there that I'm looking at, really. 2 or 3.
So Penn State, Ohio State are definitely losses.
And then
and us.
Yeah. So like, it's really 3 to 4 losses. So it's not that bad of a schedule. It's doable. It's just the weapons around him need to show out too. Yeah. That's all it is.
We'll see if that offense really matters, because I will say it did feel like Tennessee did have a limited offense last year in terms of they were running the ball very good, and it's almost like they wanted to play like that turtle football where it's like you just keep running, keep picking up 4 to 5 yards and trying to win like that, and they weren't like letting Nico necessarily like push the ball downfield in big moments. At times it felt like that. But if you go to UCLA and you're pushing the ball downfield and you look like Carson Beck from last year on Georgia when he was pushing the ball downfield and he just kept throwing picks after picks, it's not going to be a good look. And like he said, your draft stock's going to fall.
Yeah. And I mean, when Nico was pushing the ball also, like he would overthrow, he'd underthrow. Like it was like he was still trying to like
figure it out.
Yeah. And I mean, we saw him like, the team, like they lost to Arkansas last year, which Arkansas, bottom tier SEC team by far, like them and Mississippi State were probably the 2 worst teams in the SEC last year. And they lose. And it was partially because, especially in that last moment, Nico ran out of bounds. He should have thrown the ball, but he didn't throw the ball. He just ran out of bounds because he wasn't built for that moment.
Yeah. So, he didn't know. It's like he didn't know what to do. Like, so, I mean, he's still really young, still developing quarterback. Moments like these are what's really going to kind of define him here if he wants to get to the NFL draft. And this is also like a growing issue, too, with players, because Nico last year did not garner the performance of someone who deserves to be paid $4 million.
No.
It's like we're going backwards in college football in the sense of these players did deserve to be paid at some point, with getting maybe like money from their name and getting money from like headphone sponsorships and, stuff like that. But now it's to getting to the point where the schools are just saying, here you go. We're throwing money at you. It feels like negotiations, like holdout in negotiations, dude, like contract deals.
Yeah.
Is happening. And it's a totally different era. And I think what's going to happen is that these players are so in over their head, and whether it's their parent in their ear, whether they hire a random agent, it's all a money grab for them right now. And they could set themselves up really badly to be not drafted if they go somewhere bad.
Yeah. And like my thinking was too, like I already kind of said it earlier, but like if you know that you're going to be paid these big bucks in college, like with whatever it is, whether it's deserved or not, that's a sign that you're going to the big league anyways, and you're going to make 10 times that there. Like what's the hurry to grab all the money that you need now and go to a lower tier school where you can benefit off of 7 figures right away with like just only $1 million at a top tier school where you're competitive, where you'll get recognized more, get put into better situations that are more NFL like, if you want to say it that way. Like it just doesn't make sense to me. Like that Carson Beck thing too with Miami, it's just not worth it. Like obviously he will go to the NFL as well, whether that's as a first rounder, which he definitely won't be, or like a 4th or 5th rounder. He's still going to make money no matter where he goes. It's just I don't know what the hurry is to get it now. So
Yeah. And I mean, also like just kind of, I guess, staying with the family, but his brother was at Arkansas. He was going to play at Arkansas. He redshirted, was there for like 2 weeks or something. And then right after his brother Nico goes to UCLA, he then gets offered money. He gets money from UCLA after already taking money from Arkansas, and he goes to UCLA.
I will say,
and they're talking about like how, well, it's not about the money. It's like, well, if it's not about the money, then why did you do that? Like, why?
Yeah.
I was gonna say too. Like, I think there's the one person that benefits from this is his brother. The only reason why I'm saying that is because one, he will get the starting role next year once Nico leaves. Two, I think once the money is spent on him already, and now you have fresh money to spend, he will get more weapons and he will be recognized more already because of Nico and his brother already. So I think there's that, and then the more money he will make eventually in college, depending on how well his brother plays, because one, if your brother plays well, then you're obviously going to have high expectations, so we're going to pay you more. And if he does well this year or does well while his brother is still at college and he's in the NFL, he's going to be recognized a lot more. So obviously there's a lot of pressure on Nico to do well for him to kind of succeed as well. But I think just like being there and kind of, I don't know, just shadowing. And it's the same thing with us too. Like both Mendozas are on our team now. Like that's one reason why Fernando decided to come here is because his brother was on the team. So I think that kind of, it's not that it's rare, but it's not like common either. It's just you kind of start to see a trend where you'll have siblings play on the same team and like work together to almost kind of like help each other to kind of push them to the big leagues by making as much money as they can.
Yeah, it's just it's crazy what NIL's done, and I have no idea what these players are going to do, like the ones in the college football scene right now. I have no idea how they're going to take a pay cut when RevShare becomes a thing, because some of these guys are going to be taking major pay cuts. Yeah. And I have no idea how they're going to mitigate that at all.
That's why isn't Congress trying to figure out a way to do that right now? Yeah. Like the fact that we're even getting Congress involved in this. Like I don't know where the NCAA is in all this. I think it's just like they just don't want anything to do with it. So they're trying not to have their hands on anything. If I was the Big Ten and SEC and maybe even the ACC and just these big conferences, I would say screw it. We're going to create our own thing. And from a business standpoint, that's probably the smartest thing to do. Obviously, it would really suck because, college football is all about like all the teams. And I still want it to be like that. But from a business standpoint, I mean, I wouldn't blame them if they did that. It would suck, but it would be just like, what else are they going to do when they need to split this up? They can't just have they can't have Bryce Underwood making $10 million and he's never played a snap in college football.
Yeah, it's insane. I can't even. And I mean, these other schools, I mean, at least just sticking with RevShare, the smaller schools I think are going to start to benefit from RevShare, at least when it comes to basketball. Because I mean, I remember like this year, like we had talked about like how the tournament, like there was like no upsets really, and like it was kind of the opposite of like what you would think would happen because of NIL, like where people are able to spend money in places that they want to. But with RevShare, like now, like I feel like next year the Big East is going to be like the dominant, at least depending on when RevShare gets instated. I think in 2 years, like the Big East will probably be running college basketball at some point, just because they don't have football. Mm-hmm. They don't have to spend money on football. So they're going to be able to put a majority of their RevShare in basketball, men's and women's basketball. Like they'd be able to dominate both. I mean, UConn already kind of is a force in both. Now it's just going to be even more so. Like UConn, I could see UConn having some future dominance.
Their dynasty, it's starting. I mean, they've won 3 championships in a row, combined men's and women's. Men's won the past, or they won 2 years ago and 3 years ago. The women's just won this year. Like, I mean, it's already kind of starting. And you have other good teams in there, like basketball-wise with, you have Marquette. Providence is kind of scattered in there somewhere. Like you have other good teams in there too. And once the RevShare does hit, they are really gonna benefit off of it, and it'll show in the next like few years once Big East kind of makes their way, because you won't see the SEC and Big Ten put in 14, 13 teams. Like that was absolutely nuts. You don't see that often. But I'm telling, like, once this RevShare hits, the Big East is going to be really good.
Yeah. Joseph, you have anything to add to that?
No, I mean, I'm just still kind of thinking, like, when is this going to happen? When is the RevShare going to hit? When are they just going to finally stop letting people do whatever they want? Because the fact that we have multiple different periods where people can just transfer out of there and just kind of make a decision on, you know what, I really don't feel like playing for Tennessee this year. And to me, it's just like, when is anyone just going to say something and be like, okay, this needs to stop? Like, let's put an end to this. And do they not have any type of a plan? Is that what it is? I'm dumbfounded when it comes to thinking about this.
It feels like there's no regulations of any kind that are in place. And if there is, they're not enforcing them at all.
Yeah.
Like, at least that's just what I think. And I mean, because NIL basically became pay to play, except it was allowed. But like, when NIL first became a thing, I thought it was just that like athletes were going to be able to make money off of like advertising contracts or like
corporate sponsorships.
Yeah, like corporate sponsorships, not like just getting a boatload of money from NIL. Like, I thought it was supposed to be about like social media presence and like stuff like that. But that now it's like,
it's just Wild West.
Yeah. Now it's just like, oh, actually the schools like are now just so involved and they're just spending so much money, and it's, they can't stop. They can't stop spending the money, but eventually the money is going to run out at some point because the asking price is going to get higher, and people are going to be less inclined to donate depending on how the programs perform with how much money gets put in. Like, if $20 million gets dropped for our basketball roster this year, which I think it's actually like around 12 or 10 or something.
Yeah. It's needed though.
But if we don't perform, are people going to want to donate that same amount of money again?
No,
probably not.
Yeah. And when does it stop too? Like, because I know at some point they're definitely gonna like start having, you know, season tickets be combined with donating, and I mean that's already a thing.
Tennessee did that.
Yeah. So at what point are we gonna finally just be like, okay, let's revenue share players? This is the max you can hit. This is college football, or this is college basketball, whatever it is. Let's have a salary cap for all I care. I know that sounds pretty weird to be saying that, but you cannot, like, a college basketball team should not be spending over $15 million on a roster. And if you are, then that clearly means there's like a monopoly going on for obviously the best, you know, teams, like UConn, or especially like in women's basketball last couple of years, like Ethan brought up. But they just need the regulations, and someone, I don't know if the conferences need to join in together on this. It would just be easier if the NCAA could just come out and work with the conferences. But it seems like there's a discourse or a disconnect between the conferences and the NCAA, especially when it comes to football for some reason. I don't know why, but still I just can't wrap my head around it sometimes.
Yeah, I know Big Ten and SEC have been like talking with each other about this stuff, but like honestly, I think it's time that they like get more conferences involved, because I mean obviously the Big Ten has their own, like each conference has their own interests, and they want to do like their own thing with the networks and certain rules
and the schedules, like who they play. Let's just say NCAA, you're over here. We're not doing it anymore. We pick who we play anyways. We pay money to these schools, like, you know how Georgia pays Ball State like $5 million to play them or whatever. Let's just have the conferences figured out, have the teams figured out. If I was the Big Ten and SEC and ACC, I would try to get as many other teams like not in those conferences involved as possible, but try to get everyone you can in there and have the NCAA just leave the NCAA with the rest. Leave the NCAA holding the bag like they've been doing for years.
They could, honestly, NCAA could probably dissolve low key.
Honestly.
And because I feel like at this point, the conferences are so self-sufficient.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Like they could just all meet together, which I think, I mean, that's what the NCAA, I think, is supposed to be, where like like people from each school
Each
are supposed to like,
region and stuff,
yeah,
yeah.
like they're supposed to like meet up and like talk about regulation and enforce regulation.
It's your job.
Yeah, but they aren't doing it. So I don't know. It's just, it's crazy. It's nuts. And I guess this is kind of because of the House settlement, I guess. Well, not even that, but like it just brought more attention to it, I think, you know? Because NIL was a thing, like, I think, 2019, like, right before COVID?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like we talked about it last week too, about just like NIL and everything. And we said there had to be a line drawn for this and how much money people are getting. And there are some cases where money needs to be spent an excessive amount, which is very understandable, like our basketball team, which is supposed to be very good. And instead we had absolutely no one except our coach, who is, I guess, going to play all 5 positions until we sign people. So like, that's like an understandable case where you need to spend like multi-million dollars on people. So it's just fine. But like when you have like individual athletes who are arguing for more money and yet end up in a spot where they're at a worse football school and they're making less money than they were originally going to make, it shows how there's no like regulation for it, and there does need to be some sort of change at some point, because if the way that we keep going at this rate that we're going with NIL and college sports, we're gonna eventually get to like $20 million. Like we're gonna slowly start getting to like backup NFL contracts where people are being paid $20 million, and like you're already at the double-digit millions with Bryce Underwood for Michigan, who we haven't even seen play yet, besides in high school, where the competition is so much different.
And spring ball.
And almost everyone you see that you play against him, they don't even go and play in college because they aren't good enough. So when you have people like him who are already making $10 million, like it's just insane. And like what $10 million can do for someone, like just besides the fact that he's an 18-year-old kid or whatever, just if you give that to someone, like even on like Kirkwood, where you see like these people just sitting on the sidewalks, $10 million can change their whole life for a long, long time. It just doesn't make sense how we keep funding these 17, 18, 19-year-old athletes with tens of millions when we haven't even seen them play a snap in college football yet.
And a lot of them aren't really educated on that 10 million, because 10 million can change someone's life for better or for worse. Like you can go into a lot of problems, whether it's drug addiction, whether it's spending it on stuff you shouldn't be spending it on, or the opposite can be true. That 10 million makes you motivated to, get even more and have generational wealth for your family for years and years to come. But it's just like we're really doing to these, like Ethan said, these 17, 18-year-old, 19-year-old kids, and they've never seen that hit their bank account. Like
they may have never seen their parents hit their bank account.
Yeah, like Shedeur is the only one, realistically. So it's like when that happens, it's unfathomable. Like when you see your bank account and you're just like, dude, I can do whatever I want. Like also you're on a college campus and you could do whatever you want. And some guys will fall when it comes to especially playing a professional sport. Some guys will rise, but I don't know. I don't know if it's the best thing to just keep on raising the pricing point for these guys.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the last thing before we go, just at least speaking on sports, how it's like kind of the system is kind of collapsing in on itself. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Ball State is actually moving their sports to Division II. And there's also a couple other schools that are doing that as well. I think St. Francis, I don't remember where
they're going D3.
They're going D3. But like more schools are leaving D1 to go D2 and D3 because they simply cannot afford to keep up with these other schools.
I mean, you said it's pay to win, and it's starting to show now. I mean, obviously these aren't like important schools. I mean, every school in FBS is important, but like you have outliers that are really like jokes that get made fun of, like Ball State, Bowling Green, like Kennesaw State, like whatever. But like, yeah, it's starting to show like the repercussions of it all, and like how much money people are spending. Like I guarantee you, like that GM and head coach, when they saw Bryce Underwood getting paid $10 million, they're like, our whole team combined makes less than that. Like it's just absurd, especially for someone that you haven't even seen play here. Like it's nuts. And like people are starting to do it for basketball too. Like that's when St. Francis announced it when they dropped out of the tournament. Like they barely made it as a 15 seed, and obviously they did better than we did because we didn't even make the tournament.
Yeah,
but. You're gonna have outlying seasons like that, and they're gonna try and end it on like a high note when they make the tournament, because the chances that they see themselves in March again, it's very low. Like I'm gonna look up the last time they even made the tournament. Let me see.
I don't remember when the last time they made the tournament.
Yeah, like I couldn't even tell you. All right, so they played. See, this is how long ago it was. They were named the Red Flash back then. They played 2024 or 2025, I guess, 2019, and then guess the last year they played besides that.
2003 or
1958.
1950. Jeez.
1954, 1958, 1958, 2019, and then this year. That's every single time they've been in the tournament. So it's understandable why they dropped. I mean, they can't play. I mean, they can't pay to play. Like it's too much money. And eventually when you're going to start to see bigger name teams kind of drop out of it, like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like big schools that aren't like big like UConn, I guess, for example. Like if they don't have the money that they spend on their football team because they're using it all on basketball team, they may have to drop that too. Like it's just getting to such a big point now where you're starting to see FBS teams like starting to drop out when you never saw that before NIL came around.
Yeah, I mean, UConn's they are in the Big East, but they are one of those schools that has a football team that's independent. So they do have to spend like more money, at least on that front. But yeah, it's just, we're really seeing how like the impact of pay for play is having on the smaller schools. Because I mean, it's always been like that, but never to like this extent.
Yeah.
You know, like it used to be like kind of more behind the curtain and you didn't really know like how much money was being like, you know, thrown across the table in a brown paper bag. But yeah, it's just crazy to think about. And yeah, it's all collapsing in on itself. And eventually like something new is going to take its place. Don't know what it is. Don't know when that's going to happen. But at some point, something new is going to take the place of the current system that's in place. And I think with that, I think that's all we have time for today. But next week is the last episode probably of the semester. Would you guys think?
Probably. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
It flew by. Like, my goodness. I remember beginning of the year, you reached out to like the IUSTV group chat. You're like, yo, like I need a co-host coming in. So I was like, all right, yeah, I'll do it. And then Joseph came like at some point, and now we're here. Already past Little Five finals.
Went through the
2
Super
weeks.
Bowl, went through March Madness.
We went through literally everything.
Went through all.
Everything.
Yeah,
Through it all.
like I can't even believe it. Like, I mean, I've been here. This is like year 2, and like,
and you guys are graduating too.
Yeah,
like, my
I'm
God.
gonna be
Like, she's
gone.
already graduated. Like, we already have people in the real world. You're graduating. I'm just starting, and yeah, it flew by though.
I've been an unk the last couple of months.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about, but yeah, it's been so fun talking about like, I mean, all the stuff that we've been talking about, and I mean, I have no idea what we're gonna talk about next week.
We could recap like NBA playoff series 1 or whatever.
Yeah, because we still like. I mean, I know we wanted to talk about the Pacers and the Bucks because there's like a new rivalry kind of going on between Halliburton and Dame.
Yeah, a little bit.
And it's been the most out of all like the series so far. I think that's been the most fun, you know. And I think Joseph works at the Pacers, so I feel like, you know, that there's some ties there for us.
No, yeah, that series has been very fun. I will say Giannis is averaging like 37 and 15 right now.
Shocker.
So don't know what even to do with that.
Yeah, I don't like it's. Yeah, we'll definitely get into that next week, and at that point, the series will probably be over.
Yeah,
so we'll be able to like react to the series. We
should make our NBA predictions next week
for the
rest of the playoffs.
For the whole playoffs?
For the rest of the playoffs, yeah. Yeah.
We'll do like what we did for March Madness. That's it.
Yeah.
We'll wrap it
Do
up.
like a bracket challenge kind of
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like 0 for 2 on brackets right now.
Yeah.
But maybe I get lucky for the NBA one, even though like it's at least only the first round is like going on right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been kind of crazy. Like there's been a lot of crazy stuff going on with the NBA that we definitely need to get into
For sure.
next week. And I think that'll be a fun spot to at least do our last episode, unless something else crazy happens in transfer portal world, which speaking of which, we also probably should talk about college basketball next week, because our head coach has been cooking in that portal. I will say he's been working some magic, and I think that's definitely going to be fun to talk about as well. But yeah, we'll see you guys next week.